Yep, we're back with another one. We're back with another one this time, and we're swinging the focus to California. Follow me on this trip to the West Coast now. We were in Florida. For y'all that didn't see those videos, they're real eye-openers for those who've been following political detox. Let me clue y'all in on a new term that's floating around out there. For those of y'all who never heard of the term AB5, it's important. Stick with me on this because further down the line, y'all are going to understand how this all works together. It ain't the main topic, but it's the key to the whole machine. I'm going to clue all my detox family in on what's really going on down here in California. They try to bury things behind fancy words, acronyms, and legal jargon just to hide the true story of what's going on, especially in this political climate of total turmoil. I'm going to show y'all how to sift through this maze of their political BS. I'm not here to paint y'all any big, pretty pictures this time. I'm just giving you something to look at for reference to get the word out to my detox family so we can share this information and live better. While Florida gets the count done quick, Gavin Newsom and the machine in Sacramento run a long con hustle to keep y'all in the dark. They call it integrity, but it's just a 3-card Monty. I'm going to show y'all exactly which cup to pick. When they try to run that 3-card trick, we know exactly where they're hiding that little rock under the cup. They keep those ballots in limbo, stacking them, curing them, waiting for the right moment to tilt the scale. They don't just steal 1 or 2. They harvest thousands to bridge the gap and swing the vote for whoever fits their agenda. It's a straight-up money grab, a massive wire transfer of political power to keep the machine running. Look at the Bonta couple. Mia Bonta is an Asumi member, and she's married to the Attorney General, Rob Bonta. Let me tell y'all about their game. Mia pushed AB 2624, which folks are calling the Stop Nick Shirley Act. And why? Because they're afraid. They're terrified of Nick Shirley because he's helping expose the fact that California is truly, truly red. Really red.
Does this apply to a Somali Leering Center? In 6218.11, you define a designated immigration support services facility as a facility where immigration support services are provided, including but not limited to nonprofit offices, Department of Justice recognized entities, community legal clinics, law offices, accredited representative sites that provide immigration legal services and healthcare facilities. The Somali Leering Centers that were the subject of a national outcry on fraud, could they not be defined, could they not fall under the definition that you've provided that if a citizen journalist or if CBS News that just showed up at a building looking at fake hospices in LA, showed up at some of these so-called service providers and was investigating waste, fraud, and abuse and took video of the offices and questioned
Mr.
people.
DeMaio, I believe that your question is would those facilities qualify under the bill? And let's ask that question and reserve your time for your opinion afterwards.
Deep red to a point. Nick Shirley is out here exposing California's fraud, and those politicians in California don't want y'all to recognize how red it really is. They know they're running their voter scam by letting folks out there vote by mail, and the fact of the matter is, they're sending mailers out to places that aren't even legitimate addresses. For example, they'll send a mailer out to a porta potty. I'm talking about a real toilet, y'all. Now we know that's some pure BS, and for those of y'all who can even imagine that, Jed Clement would be turning over in his grave if he knew how California was being run today. Those politicians don't want the truth out because they're busy passing laws like SB 73, which Governor Newsom signed just days ago on May 27, 2026. They say it's to protect elections, but it's really a legal blockade to stop people from questioning their ballot handling. They don't want anybody looking at the chain of custody. Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco tried to investigate a 45,000 vote gap, and they sued to stop him. Why hide the ballots if the count is clean? They're using the full force of the state to protect a broken pipeline.
With the ballots that your sheriff's office seized in the situation, why exactly did you do that?
Because it's a crime.
What exactly was a crime?
Election fraud. Why would I look into a murder? Because someone tells me there was a murder. Why would I look into...
But did you believe the results of Prop 50?
We're not doing anything with Prop 50.
Okay.
There's not one single thing I'm doing to overthrow Prop 50.
Your question was around, the investigation was around the way Riverside County's elections officials were handling that?
No, this is one of the things, this is where I get very frustrated with where we are in this investigation to begin with, because the Attorney General can lie every time he opens his mouth. He can put out things in print that are just flat out wrong and dishonest, and nobody cares. And then the media will report it, and then something will happen that it's like, hey, that's not true. Oh, well, it's too late now. We just keep moving on because the damage was already done. So when you say something and repeat it and the news says it, then people believe it. Especially now, it's horrible with social media. This is probably one of the most basic, easy investigations you could ever believe in your entire life. And law enforcement investigates crime. And so when someone comes to us and says, we believe there's possible crime, and election fraud is a crime, it's all out there. I didn't make it up.
But who is the suspect, if I can
We
ask?
don't know. We don't know. I don't know who's the suspect in a murder. And you don't know until you investigate. You really don't.
So
and you really don't even know if there was a murder. I mean, a murder's a bad one. It could be a fraud.
So just to be clear, and I'm asking.
I'll tell you, this is how easy this is. From our own records that our own ROV has, daily records of ballots that were returned, there's 611,000 ballots. That's how many ballots they say came back into the ROV. But when you add up the yes and the no votes, it comes up to 658,000. So if you only have 611,000 ballots by your own count, how do you have 658,000 yes and no votes? So when we went and asked, there was no answer. He had no answer. Doe in the headlights, couldn't explain anything. So the explanation was human error. It's like, well, human error of what and where? So a basic investigation was, how many ballots were there then? If you're saying that that's wrong and you made human error and you missed by almost 10%, which is completely unacceptable, then we have to find out. Because if it wasn't human error, then what was it? So from the very beginning, my first press conference when this happened, I said, our intention is to count those ballots. What I want to happen is, it was human error. They made a massive mistake that hopefully they never make again. But the total number of ballots, I want them to match the total number of votes. So I can tell Riverside County, stop believing that there's fraud going on.
Is the investigation over?
No, because the Attorney General won't let it happen.
But you're still committed to investigating that?
Of course I am, but now we have to fight it in court because the Attorney General is attempting to stop it.
The game's rigged, the deck's stacked, and the deal is in on the take. We have to see through the smoke. They act like they care, but look how they live. They're living real good off of us. Then they team up with the rest of these politicians to write laws just to keep themselves in power. We've got to stop the stealing of our political rights, to have our voices heard for the money we're paying them. After all, we're paying their salaries. We aren't woke, we are awake. The difference is awareness. While they sit back and guess, and while the rest of this nation is red, I'm talking deep red. Just look at the map. We already know what's going on. We know the scam they're pulling. Once the people in those woke states, New York, California, Illinois, finally pull the wool off their eyes, we can change this nation back to normal thinking. So drop a comment saying, I'm with Nick Shirley if you agree. Join me as we journey through this maze of political deception while we glorify those who are in the movement for truth and demonize those who oppose it. The situation in California is a testament to how far they'll go to protect their own interests. With SB 73 now law, they've essentially codified the ability to keep the public out of the ballot counting rooms. It's a direct slap in the face to anyone who believes in transparent government. But here's the kicker. They can pass all the bills they want. They can try to silence folks like Nick Shirley with $4,000 fine per post, and they can try to tie the hands of every sheriff in the state, but they can't hide the reality forever. We see the patterns. We see the ghost facilities. We see the quality learning centers that aren't centers at all, but rather fronts for siphoning off tax dollars. Every single time they introduce a new privacy act, you can bet your bottom dollar it's actually a secrecy act. It's designed to cloak the flow of money. It's an Operation Skip Trace, and we're going to trace every bit of it back to the source. They're building a dam to stop the flow of information.
You can try to bully them, Ms. Bonta, but it will not.
Mr. DeMaio, let's speak with decorum to our colleagues, please. Assemblymember Wilson.
But this dam has cracks, and my friends, we are the water. We are finding the leaks, and we're going to keep shining that light until the whole thing falls down. Think about the sheer scale of the 45,000 vote gap in Riverside. They call it a margin of error. I call it a systematic deletion of the people's voice. They claim the sheriff is unfounded, but if it's so unfounded, why spend millions in legal fees to stop the count? Why hide the ballots if the count is clean? They're using the full force of the state to protect a broken pipeline. The game's rigged, the deck's stacked, and the deal is in on the take. We have to see through the smoke, but here's the kicker. They can pass all the bills they want. They can try to silence folks like Nick Shirley with $4,000 fine per post, and they can try to tie the hands of every sheriff in the state, but they can't hide the reality forever. We see the patterns. We see the ghost facilities. We see the quality learning centers that aren't centers at all, but rather fronts for siphoning off tax dollars. Every single time they introduce a new privacy act, you can bet your bottom dollar it's actually a secrecy act. It's designed to cloak the flow of money. It's an Operation Skip Trace, and we're going to trace every bit of it back to the source. They're building a dam to stop the flow of information, but this dam has cracks, and my friends, we are the water. We are finding the leaks, and we're going to keep shining that light until the whole thing falls down.
So are you with me? Are you ready to expose the truth? Drop that comment, share the link, and let's keep the pressure on them. Thank y'all for watching, and always remember, the DEMS are panicking, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing to see.